Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. Cat's repositioning himself. He's like, oh no, I started talking, now he's gonna leave me. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you are so inclined, head on over to twitch.tv/OtakuShowboat to leave a follow and turn on notifications to be reminded when I go live Sundays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. US Eastern Time. You can follow me on Twitter at OtakuShowboat and visit my website at otakushowboat.com. So, obviously, I'm starting off today as Big Me, the big version of me, and I want to starting off the stream sort of in this discussion mode, and ask, what are you currently playing today? That is our question for the day today as I start the game, and the game should appear in the bottom corner. Maybe. Yeah, there it is. There's the game. So, what are you playing today? Let me know if you're watching the VOD in the comments below. If you're playing Factorio, are you playing with mods? Are you playing Angels? Are you playing Just Bobs? Are you playing Pyanodons? Are you trying to mix it up with all of the above? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. And I have the question in the stream title if anyone shows up during the stream today. So, that is that. Let me know. I want to know, what have I been playing lately? Well, clearly today is going to be more of our Pyanodons playthrough. Outside of that, actually, I haven't been playing too much. I have... I'm primarily just waiting around at this point. In fact, I am waiting for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think that's the next major release. Between that and Planet Zoo are like what's coming that I want to play, and next year Animal Crossing and Kerbal Space Program 2 are the big ones. But right now it's like just Factorio for me as like the go-to game that I'm playing. I'm finding it actually relatively hard trying to get into anything else. I've been trying to get back into Total War games. I still haven't bought Three Kingdoms yet. Partly because I'm a little strapped for cash. Just looking for updates at the start here to our Factorio game. So let's actually get into things. There's no updates, no GitHub updates to the Pyanodon's playthrough stuff today, which is quite convenient. So what did we do last time? Last time, I've set up more of the grid up here, and I set up a... I guess we can call it a bot-based lubricant production that could actually... You know, now that I'm thinking about it, it's totally within reason to put a splitter here and load into a provider chest, a passive provider chest. So I think I will do that. Just have to reposition the mic a little bit. Also today, so Streamlabs OBS updated today, to my slight surprise. So things look a little different. So you used to be able to like bring up your profile. It was like there used to be a link to bring up like your actual Streamlabs homepage with your stats and stuff on it, that seems to have disappeared now. Like, that seems to be gone. You've got a link to the store and the themes and the CloudBot, and then Studio and Live, and that's it. That's it. There's no, like, profile link anymore, which, that's confusing. Why would they remove that? Was that a mistake that's gone? I don't know, but that is really weird. Really, really weird. Oh, and then eventually they're going to be just completely merging Studio and Live tabs, so that's another thing to be on the lookout for. So yeah, last time I started ground boring copper. And yes, this is copper. I have the realistic ores mod installed, so this is actually a lot closer to how copper looks in reality. So today, right, I was going to do probably easier to do the chest first. There's actually a setting for this. Is it per player or map? Deadlocks. Snap loaders to inventories is the option. So, say I were to pick this up. If I were to do that, yeah, that I think is a lot better behavior for me. In fact, if I did that, for example, without a belt on the other side, and then I put that, yeah, it's still, and then I put the belt in, yeah, it's still not, I would still have to pick it up and then do that. That's unfortunate. There is an order of operations to these things, sadly. I'll also take that. So why did I start ground boring copper over here? Well, copper is an ingredient in Drilling Fluid 1, so I figured, you know what, let's make the stuff to make Drilling Fluid 1. That also means needing guar gum plantations. And last time I figured out that guar gum is, let's see, it is 26. Or if I use speed modules, 22. Let's see how many fit. Alright, so up to 30 can fit here. And I was looking at this particular recipe that uses some CO2 and water. I am not concerned whatsoever about the CO2 requirements here. This will, of course, though, need the piping. I want to make sure that I have the piping in so that I can do, copies and pastes. I guess I don't need that there. Uncertain where I'm going to route this stuff for now. I'll probably do on this side. And then I have to decide how am I going to feed in the ingredients. Am I just going to do chests? I think I'm just going to do chests. At least requester chests. Now, how did I do it here? I did it here with requester chests. And then output onto belt. I think that's how I'll do this here. So the way that this is set up makes it a little awkward, but I guess I can put things in the middle here. Now, as I said, I can fit up to 30. I think. I think these are the, are these the exact same as Relesia? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, they are 7 by 7, so they fit the same footprint as Relesia. Which means if I do copy and paste... Why didn't it grab the full stuff? I don't know. Why did it not grab the full stuff? And I am going to want that at least. Yes, and then this way I can do undergrounds. Request additional. Enough to feed doubles. And that, as they say, should be that. Why are you not delivering the lamps? I have lamps. At least I should have lamps. Considering I just made lamps. Yes, lamps. Lamps. Glorious, glorious lamps. They're limited on the... I know what I need to do. I need to request additional, thingies. Yes. Yes, kitty. I said thingies. I said thingies! Additional wires for copper. Also, perhaps I should mention that yesterday I came across... I used those words very carefully, considering the type of work I'm in. Wow, you're already requesting 450, jeez. Like, seriously? Am I that behind on... Like, do I really need yet more? I mean, I'm fine with placing yet more. Yesterday, like, considering the work I'm in, note that I cannot discuss anything that I work on for my transcription. Like, I can't reveal any sources whatsoever. So, always keep that in mind. That being said, yesterday I came across a relevant channel on YouTube that I started watching this morning about streaming. I think topic's okay. So I came across a channel that is all about helping people learn how to grow with streaming. Now, I always view such things with a grain of salt, partly out of experience. It's like, yeah, I know all of this stuff, all of these tips, and how consistency is this number one thing. Always be consistent. And yet, clearly, after several months here, I'm still not quite at affiliate status yet, so even the thing that bothers me is that no one ever really says when giving advice for Twitch or any other performance stuff, the very basic thing. It's like no matter what, you have to be interesting. Like that's the number one thing that I think a lot of people gloss over is people have to actually be interested in you in order to come and keep watching you. Even if you do absolutely everything else right, if you yourself aren't interesting, you're not going to grow at all. And it really, at this point, it doesn't matter how consistent you are. It doesn't matter what your production values are, what equipment you're using, what game you're playing. It can be one of the, key games to play that is neither too popular nor too obscure. No matter what you're going to do, you have to be a good presenter in the first place. And that is the one thing that I am the weakest on. And that is the number one reason why it's been taking so long for me to really grow, even when I was just doing YouTube stuff. When I very first started streaming, alright, when I very first started, as I continue setting this up here, I had basically 0 production values. That was the first thing. It was no production values at all. I really, really hate the streams or not the streams, but the videos I made at that time. Really, really bad stuff. Oh, I only brought 22 with me, so yeah, that's gonna need a couple more. And to top it all off, I wasn't very interesting. My commentary was straight up trash. I'm better than I was. I will note, for those of you who are obviously going to be thinking, well, he still is not very interesting in his commentary at times. Just think of those slow periods that I currently have as being the entirety of my videos. At that time, I was not good. But I still did it anyway because I knew that in order to learn how to be better, I had to actually do it. You won't learn anything unless you start. And I was actually unwittingly following the advice of several self-help books. In particular, the one I'm thinking about is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I had just somehow known from the very beginning, it's like, well, unless you start doing it, you're not going to get better at doing it. So I started in 2011 making videos, and they were trash. Very few videos from that time still exist on my channel. The oldest one that exists on my channel right now, the oldest series, is the Rome Total War, Barbarian Invasion, Goths? I think that was the first one of that. But yeah, my oldest Rome Total War, Barbarian Invasion playthrough. That was technically my second Let's Play series on my channel. But and the other one was technically first one was Fable The Lost Chapters. They went up concurrently, so I did both of them, and they went up on alternating days. So while technically the first episode of Fable was first, the two were the first of the series that went up on my channel. Fable no longer exists on my channel anymore, because like the volume was non-existent on my commentary, so that was like gone. And then Fable Anniversary Edition was released, and I streamed a bit of it and finished the rest of it off stream, so I do actually have a Fable Anniversary Edition in heroic or hero mode or whatever the heck they call it. Permadeath, I guess, mode is what you can also call it, because that was a you die, that's it mode in Fable Anniversary. I played through the whole thing. I 100%ed it, actually. Got all of the achievements in that playthrough, that single playthrough. So that was quite interesting. Again, not the best. We're talking, this was years ago, still, even when Fable Anniversary came out. But, oh, I went down here to grab the guar plantations, and here I am not actually grabbing the guar plantations. So yeah, a lot of that early stuff doesn't exist anymore. Some of it does. I also had issues with content ID matches once Nintendo was being Nintendo and was content claiming literally everything that was Nintendo first party videos. So all the Mario stuff, all the Zelda stuff, etc. Not Pokemon stuff, because remember, Pokemon is not developed by Nintendo, it is developed by Game Freak. Nintendo publishes Pokemon. Game Freak is considered a second party, because Nintendo closely owns a lot of Game Freak, but it is still a separate development studio, and Nintendo is not technically the developer behind it. So there's different rights associated with it, which means that that one ended up being okay. The Pokemon series, and for a time I was actually boycotting doing any Nintendo. It started as boycotting making content of anything even remotely related to Nintendo, but later on I pulled back a bit into only first-party developed Nintendo titles, which I thought was more fair, because at the time I was working on what would end up being the first complete Gladius playthrough on YouTube, which is awful in quality, but it's technically the first. One of few, actually. I'm just deleting this line here to save on my underground usage. It was technically one of, if not the first, of the complete Gladius playthroughs that existed. And, yeah, I wanted to finish that playthrough after not playing it for months at that point. So I decided, you know what, we'll make this into just a first party boycott, and that I did last on that for quite some time. The next Nintendo thing that I made content of was Breath of the Wild, actually, after, like, years later, Breath of the Wild. And yeah, there was content ID matches on it. When I first had started streaming it, I actually streamed Breath of the Wild, and put those VODs on YouTube, pretty much as is, very little if no editing on it. So that exists. It was Breath of the Wild in hero mode, pretty much a full playthrough. This was before the DLC, though, so it's not, doesn't include any of the DLC stuff. So, yeah, that was like the first time in a really long time I did first party Nintendo content, and then oddly enough, like around that same time or shortly after that, Nintendo finally decided, you know what? We're not going to be content ID matching gameplay of our games anymore. So, as it turns out, now Nintendo no longer content IDs its first party video games for the video of it. There's still things where I've seen that Nintendo is claiming people who just like upload the music from their video games, and I can understand that. That is fully understandable and well within their rights. The content of the video games, though, like people playing their video games, they shouldn't have been content ID matching that from the very beginning, so I'm glad that they stopped doing that. So here we have 24? Yeah, 4. Do I want to add the extra line here or just use speed? I'm just going to use speed modules on these and we will be fine. It's 2 extras by using speed modules. And then do power. Do like actual power. Same down here. So, yeah, this all originated, I'm getting really off topic here. This all started with me saying how I had found yesterday this YouTube channel of advice for growing your stream, or growing streaming just in general, I would say. By the way, how much water gets used in 24? Enough that one feeds this. Okay. And I was watching some of the videos and I'm like, yeah, I already do this. On the extreme vast majority of the advice that's given in these videos that I was watching on this channel. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing all of this right, why do I still have less than 3 average viewers on Twitch? And why am I still at not even 600 YouTube subscribers after being on that platform since 2011? Well, YouTube I can explain, because I lacked consistency. I lacked, like, there's big periods of time in those years where I was not doing videos for months and months and months at a time, up to half a year or more at a time. This most recent me returning to YouTube and to streaming and being consistent finally is after over a year of not making content. Granted, this last year where I wasn't making content was so that I could finish my master's degree. So I had good reason for that. But Yeah, that's the like big thing. Plus, also, not being particularly interesting and all that. I'm just gonna hook up to this. Yeah, that sounds like a fine idea. Hook up to that line. See how long it takes for all of the buffer to accrue here, and we are officially making guar. Isn't that lovely? Now, I don't have the clay production really for this. I also was a bit of a dunce and didn't put the output inserters. I was too busy talking and didn't put the output inserters. I could put you right direct feeding in, but I'll just put it there. Yeah. This will be absolutely fine. And that, as they say, is that unless... Now, I need to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 12. 12 is less than 15 items per second, so that is fine. I'm fine with that. You are clearly not accepting enough lamps. Lamps, glorious lamps. Take all the lamps for me. Now, there are aspects of those videos that I was watching on this anonymous channel that I really shouldn't speak about. There were some things that I don't do, frankly, that I really should. One of which is this whole question of the day. What are you playing today? If you're playing Factorio, what mods are you playing? I've got a really big mod list of stuff that I've even added over time of these wonderful mods that I play. What are things that you're playing? Maybe I can get a good idea of what I want to play in Factorio in the future. Or maybe just straight up just games. What games do I want to be playing in the future? If I ever get the money to freaking afford to buy any more games, I'm still way behind on the games that I currently play. Also, what are you reading? Do you, like, read any light novels, manga series that are actually halfway decent? I'm not so much into the manga series anymore. I'm just into light novels currently, not even really into anime anymore, because the vast majority of anime, of course, is based off of light novel series. Even most manga is based off of light novel series as the source material, and the incredibly vast majority of the time, the light novels are better, frankly. The source content is pretty much always better than the anime or the manga based off the light novel. It's pretty consistent. There are exceptions, however. There are always exceptions to this. In particular, off the top of my head, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ashes. Or Fantasy and Ash, or however the heck they call it these days. Grimgar, I think, is better as an anime than as the light novel, the source material. As a matter of personal preference, because if you've ever read the light novels of Grimgar, that is an absolute obscene amount of incredibly repetitive exposition. It is incredibly repetitive, and it's all like self-loathing type stuff, and it's like, I get the point. There comes a point where I get the point, and I don't want to keep reading the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah, that's like the whole of Grimgar in a nutshell at the like first several volumes of it, and I just stopped caring about it, even though I really, really loved the anime. I think the anime did a really good job of expressing, without words, a lot of the incredibly repetitive stuff that was in the light novels. So that's one instance where I think the anime is better than the light novel, but it's not usually the case. Oops. Yeah, do that, and do that, and that. Alright. Still hate how I have to keep redoing these junctions every time. Yeah, that, and that. Yeah, see, that's not the one I want. That's the one I want attached. So that was like the first piece of advice that I had come across in this video series was ask these questions of the day. So today's question of the day, what are you playing? If you're playing Factorio, let me know what, like, are you playing it modded? Are you not modded? Straight up vanilla? What type of playthrough are you playing currently? Bob's Angels, Pyanodons, Crastorio even, Space Block, the new, like, the one that they advertised in the Friday Fast Facts this week, the like post-apocalyptic map one. That's what I'm interested in playing at some point. Still not getting the lamps. Clay. Clay is next. I need an actual production square of clay. Let's get clay pits. So the other piece of advice that was brought up in this video series that I was particularly noting is eye contact with the webcam or the camera or whatever you're using. More eye contact, and I was like, I guess that might be a thing to start really doing more. I spend a lot of time focusing on what I'm doing, and not so much on the actual speaking to people thing here. I'm very good at explaining, I think, of what I'm doing, and not so much really discussing with people. Explain what and why, but not really am particularly social. Alright, have you brought me things? You have brought me things. More. In fact, you know what? I want even more things. Bring me all of the things. Yes, all of them! I want all of them so that I know I can, like, fill up an entire line of this. Also, once you do bring me these, I will need some boilers, because these need steam. Oh, boilers! Bring me boilers. Yes, bring me 50 boilers. That would be handy. Very handy. Oh yeah, I'm also, today, you may notice I have my Vader mug here that I've had for several years. I actually had bought this mug when starting my master's degree, like soon after starting my master's degree. I didn't used to drink coffee, then I started a master's program. I'm drinking a different brand of coffee today. I bought, because I was running out of my normal coffee, I ordered online some Kicking Horse brand 454 horsepower blend dark roast. It is strong, and It tastes a little of wood, and I'm not quite sure if I'm okay with that. I like the strength, but I think I might prefer a different, less, I guess it's called earthy flavor. So I might get a different flavor after finishing this container of it. Their dark roasts, they've got the 454 horsepower. They've also got a kick-ass flavor, and I think the other one's called Grizzly Claw. So we shall see which of those I'm interested in. I think this one's a little bit too earthy for my taste. It also wasn't as expensive as I was sort of thinking it would be. Or let's just say it's good for its cost. There are more expensive coffees. I briefly looked at this coffee brand that was called Death Wish, but at over $1 an ounce, I noped the hell out of there rather quickly. This one was like 60 something cents an ounce compared to like Folgers, which is less than 30 cents an ounce. It's like, alright, I'll pay this for something more premium, better quality. Alright, so I should have, it's more of these clay pits now, and the stack of the boilers. So now I can head on up and start setting up this clay. Now that I have the actual guar placed. My guar. Oddly enough, for those who didn't know, guar is not only the name of a plant, it is also the name of the biggest cow species in the world. And it's actually the basis of the logo of Red Bull. Yes, the Red Bull energy drink is based off of the guar. The guar cow, basically bovine. Yet another one of those random pieces of information that you learn as a transcriptionist. 6, right? Yep, that is 6. You know, oddly enough, I can do this and be just fine. Yeah, that actually works, because steam gets shared between clay pits. So really, I only need like a gap of 2 here. And then, yeah, so this takes, I can fit a lot of clay pits, actually, in here. Do I want a gap of 2, or do I want a gap of 3? Let's see how this... I would like to have 3 here. I am comfortable going down a bit more and making use of the space more fully in order to fit this. Actually, I think not that tile, but oh. Yeah, that is about as far as I can go. On this side, can I go? That's only 1 tile up. If this goes 1 tile up, it would give me the 3 gap here, but it would not give me the 3 gap here. It would leave me with just the 2 gap. I'm going to have to live with that? No. I am not. In fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to cut and paste 1 tile down. Why do I need to cut and paste 1 tile down? Because this requires... Or does it? Wait. I'm getting myself all confruzzled. I'm getting myself all confruzzled. So, this is a way of outputting into a single chest out here, but I was also thinking from the standpoint of... I was thinking I needed some sort of solid input when I don't. I definitely have an output that needs to happen, though, but that output could be into chests. I'm just thinking now, you know what, it's probably just the better idea not to have the... have all the chests on the planet. Probably better not to have all the chests on the planet. Right. And that leaves me with that. And then not this, because I would need outputs. And my dudes should bring those over as they get crafted. I will, however... Yeah, I won't even need chests. Like, that's fine. I won't even need chests. Now, how many are here? 30! 30! So, out of 30... 750 steam per second. This is... 13 boilers. 13 boilers to properly feed. 13 boilers actually would give 780 units of steam. So 1 boiler is 60 steam per second. It consumes 60 water per second. So when there's above 600, I know I need at least 10. And the difference between 750 and 600 is 150. And so on and so forth. So then 60 into 150 is more than 3. Or it's more than 2 and less than 3, so it's 3 more. So 10 plus 3, 13. For reference, that's actually Common Core math. For reference, that's like one of the things about Common Core math that confuses a lot of people. Let's see, how many of this? For reference, I also was not taught in Common Core math. One more. There we go, 13. 13. And then I have to think about the actual water supply. Water supply that actually fits within my square here. I'm pretty sure this will fit within this square. Type that in. And just hook everything up here. And the way that I've spaced this out, I don't have to worry about needing any more pipe than this. That's just how it works. And then feeding these with fuel is a matter of grabbing a logistics chest and requesting coke. If I were to start making briquettes or fuel rods, because these can even use fuel rods, I should use those instead, because those are the better fuel value. Speaking of which, fuel rods Mark 1. This recipe is quite nice, and I think I want to do this to set it up anyway. Now, uranium versus nexolite, or titanium and uranium versus niobium and nexolite. Which drilling fluid type is nexolite? Pretty sure niobium is 3, actually, and nexolite is 2 under normal circumstances. So it might actually be better to do this recipe on the 20% uranium and titanium to spare yourself the effort of the niobium and nexolite pull, but I don't ultimately think it really matters. I'm not interested in the uranium ore. You cannot ground bore uranium ore. And that's something to note again for Pyanodon is I don't know if it's actually intentional that you cannot ground bore uranium. Because you can ground bore basically everything else except uranium. That is like the one ore type that doesn't have a ground boring recipe. However, uranium does have a very convenient particle accelerator recipe to make uranium out of chromium, I think, that uses proton receptors and not proton donors, which is a lot easier to make because it doesn't involve boron. I think that's how that would work. So it's a particle accelerator recipe to get your infinite amounts of your uranium ore without needing ore patches rather than ground boring. It would be convenient to have a ground boring recipe for that, but I'll take what I've got, which is the particle accelerator. And that's going to be fun, setting up particle accelerator stuff on this map. So if you haven't been watching the whole time, hey, I'm doing this wrong. So when I first started this base, I decided I would do a belt, like a main bus-based base, and sort of just stuck with it all the way through Circuit 2 production. And I didn't start migrating over to robots until after hitting Circuit 2s. After which then I started to automate all the things on the planet. But I decided, you know what? Around that time, I was starting to run out of my initial resource places around the map, and I decided, you know what? These ground boring recipes are highly useful. They are incredibly useful for these ground boring recipes. Are there ways of making infinite amounts of resources without the use of any finite resources? And as it turns out, in Pyanodon's mods, that is the case for every single raw resource, with the only exception of the rare earth material. So rare earth ore is the only thing that must be mined out of rare earth bolides in a standard Pi game. Everything else, you have the option of how you want to obtain it, and you can get all of it infinitely. It can all be gotten infinitely from water and space. Like, space is the only resource with water, ultimately. Alright, and there is that. All I need now is to load... Maybe not there. Load into chests. And you know what? I'm gonna keep things aligned. So there's my glorious amounts of clay. So you can get infinite amounts of power without even really needing to rely on the amount of space that solar requires, because, I mean, you can still use solar. Solar is great to have, but you can use solar to power the buildings that are giving you power. More power, a lot more power. It's a big net positive in terms of power, with even relatively not efficient setups that are designed to be compact, like this setup here that makes use of Mark II combustion turbines. Each of these setups can provide over 150 megawatts of power for a 2x2 chunk grid. Just add water. And that makes this highly convenient. And you can reduce the amount of energy that the actual energy producing buildings require by using modules once you hit circuit 2s. A lot of what I'm doing now is absolutely making use of modules and making use of Mark II equipment, all of which is requiring circuit 2s. And sadly, in Pyanodon's mods, most people never make it to circuit 2s. Ha! The only resource is space, and apparently my infinite knowledge. Well, my infinite knowledge comes from somewhere, and in fact, my knowledge comes from one mod in particular, and that is what is it really used for, and knowing how to use what is it really used for. So if I do drilling fluid 1, you know, like, you can go down whole chains. Drilling fluid 2, we can see that, hey, collagen, guar gum, hydrogen chloride, ethylene glycol, and boric acid. Well, boric acid ultimately comes from raw borax, which can be ground bored. I think it's drilling fluid 1 on that one, normally. You've got ethylene glycol, which comes from slacked lime, which I'm actually making slacked lime renewably. So once you go through and figure out exactly what you can get somewhat renewably... Kitty? Okay. Sure. Big loud meow. Once you go through and figure out what you can and can't get renewably, so if I do rare earth ore, you can see here it's only from these bolides. Here there's no other product of or ingredient in associated with the rare earth bolides. Same with the whole of the chain going up, powder to dust to mud and all of that stuff. So that makes things... Oh right, these use modules too. What can I use for modules here that would be even remotely valuable? Technically productivity. I mean, no, not even. Not even productivity. That's too much of a speed reduction. and energy consumption. Yeah, 40% more energy. So with clay directly comes from energy in the form of the steam that you are using for it. The 165C steam. Coke is power from mushrooms making coal that you can then turn into coke. I'm doing that down here. This line. I've got mushrooms to coal to processing with a bit of steam required for this. So, and this gives me about 4 full lines. At least it should give me 4 full lines. I don't know what's something's bottlenecking here somewhere. Something's bottlenecking there, but regardless. Coke is just power. Doesn't even need coal patches for it. So this being just power, why would I do productivity and make it use more power to operate slower for only 4% more output? And then again, why would I make it go a little bit faster if I have space for more? But anyway, that's the clay production. I didn't even pay attention. Like, how much clay is 30 of these? 22.5 per second. 22.5 per second as Kitty digs. Thank goodness there's no smell-o-vision here, because, yeah, that's not pleasant right now. Cough. Cool. I might have to light up my oil warmer to, at least try to take the edge off here. Oh boy. Next is sand. Next is sand. Lots and lots and lots and lots of sand. Normally I do sand somewhat locally, but I think I'm just gonna have to make lots of it in a full square setup. Some nice, what now? Thiols? Do you mean tholins? Or what? What? Huh? Tiles? Don't know, I think you misspelled something. If you mean tholins, I've got tholins. I've got acetylene tholins. Yeah. Somewhere. Where are they? Wherefore art thou here? Tholins. Sulfur, right. Thiols. Yeah, even though it may seem like I know a lot about how chemistry works, I'm not a chemistry major. Didn't really involve myself in chemistry. Highest level of chemistry I've taken was a second semester of organic chemistry, and I remember basically none of it. My undergrad was biology, my master's was geology, and not based on actual, like, excavation industry geology either. It was ancient life. My research was trace fossils. So on the more bio related side of things. And sedimentology type of things. My classes were like even depositional systems and rivers. So, yeah. My focus was not even in anything even remotely somewhat related to the types of stuff that happens here in Factorio, oddly enough. But I know enough about chemistry to where the chemistry that you can do in the game somewhat makes some sense to me. Especially things like Angel's Petrochem. Ooh, that's a problem. Those guys are stuck. Those guys are stuck. They fly out, and then they fly right back, and then they try to fly out again, and then they fly right back, and it's happening over here as well. Yeah, that's a problem. And they're over water, too, so... Oh, stupid robots. Stupid, stupid robots. Very stupid robots. Anyway, I just have a type of mindset that is conducive to this game. Gosh, this sprite is so, misleading to its actual size. Wow, I can fit, as usual, 6 of these in here. You're another 7x7, aren't you? Yeah, you're another 7x7 machine. Lots of 7x7 machines in Pyanodons. Oh. Excuse me? Yes, bring me things. Thingies. Oh, wait. These are gonna be making soil. Maybe I need to have a look at how much water 12 of these is. Yeah. This is not the type of layout that I want for this. Even 6 is more than 1 pipe's throughput reliably. I'll make that note as well. Looks like 8 is 2. Excuse me? There we go. That should work. I mean, yeah, I could... Again, you can use productivity modules in these, but it's like, you're saving water. Water? You know, that stuff that's infinite? Why would I save water? And then, again, because it uses so much water, why would I use speed on these as well? And use more power when they're already relatively small for the output that they provide. Speaking of output, these also are a lot on their output. So much so that... Right. That's what that setting means. If I do... Yeah, that's what that setting means, and that's why I need to keep that setting off. Use snap loaders to inventories, because that's not what I want you to actually do. Then copy and paste. And paste. Yep. I did mention I was going to get a lot of soil, didn't I? Pretty sure I mentioned I was going to get lots of soil. Bring up the wells. Let's see, this is how many? 24. Yeah, just casually 172.8 per second on soil. I don't think I'm going to need soil for a while. Yeah, I somehow don't think I'm going to need soil for a while. Well, oh. Really? Just zigzagging. Well, that works. There we go. Power it all! Actually, if anything, what I want to do is put efficiency modules in, but all of my efficiency modules are currently being occupied. How is everything getting built without the appearance of any construction bots? So I have a thing called nanobots. I have nanobots installed. So they act as my personal construction robots. I do have construction robots that are currently all working. I have 2002 construction robots that are busy placing aluminium tile all about the place. Looks like they're near enough done. They're getting closer to finishing on the current aluminium tile requests, but yeah, I am using nanobots to save time, if anything else. But yeah, that's how things are being constructed without construction bots. It is, of course, consuming the ammunition of nanobots, so it is technically consuming resources in the form of circuits, actually, for these. And it takes a lot to make circuits. Okay, so that's soil. That's lots and lots and lots and lots of soil. What are you being limited by ultimately? Still the lamps. Still the lamps limit you. But it's not like I don't have lamps. Why? no lamps? Why no lamps? That is the question I'm having right now. Why no lamps? Nearly all the processes is pure Pyanodons? No. The water reservoir, this guy, is a separate mod entirely. This one is called Stone Water Wells. It is not part of Pyanodons. Again, that is just to save on pipe logistics, because it's not like I don't have access to do standard offshore pump work to get the water that I need to feed all of these systems. It's just that I don't feel like doing the logistics of that water. So all of these deep water well things here, these are added through the Stone Water Wells mod. They are the exact same output as a standard offshore pump. In fact, they are offshore pumps in disguise. That's all they are. They are coded exactly. They are exactly offshore pumps, just with different sprite, different size, different material cost, and they can be placed anywhere. All it does is save on pipe logistics, thereby saving time. Okay, I need to figure out again what is up with my lamps and why they're not being shuttled up. So, the lamps are being used. The lamps are limited by the copper cables. Copper cables are being used, which means I don't have enough copper. So I need to add more copper. Well, guess what I've just started doing? I've just started ground boring copper. While I need that copper that I am currently ground boring to make drilling fluid 1, so that I can use it to technically start ground boring the lead and iron. Technically. Not going to for now. Oh, I am actually backing up on circuits. Wow. Really? Huh. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting to me, all of this. I have completely lost exactly everything that I was just saying after looking at this and being like, huh. Because, A, this should be a full throughput belt. Should, yet isn't. Oh, I broke a pipe. Another kill. Another kill to add to the list. Yes, another pipe kill. How many pipe to grounds or undergrounds have I broken? 47 so far. 47, 27 of the small poles, apparently 6 of the iron pipes, 3 of the mediums, couple big electric poles, yeah. All of that is me running into them. All of that is me running into them. Oh, I have gone too far. Wait, why is... Now why is that a trickle? Going south. Wait, what? Where's all my copper? This should be a full throughput. This should be full throughput. What is happening to my copper? What is going on here? Let's have a look. Let me have a look-see. Copper being way out in a big setup. Okay. So it's not ore. Our problem is not ore. Our problem is stone. Our problem is not enough void. Not enough void. Void is the issue here, not enough of it. Ugh. Alright. Give me void. Please. Please let there be void. Need more void. I apparently don't have any small poles, so please accept these mediums in their stead. Oh, I apparently didn't grab the top inserters. Unfortunately, my setups here tend to break if you're using all of the burners. Because sadly, so burners produce ash. Burners produce ash. We can see that I have fully backed up on ash. This one will now consume ash. In fact, one thing that I might do is break off the occasional inserter on the input so that I can guarantee that I am burning all of the ash. Yes, please. Please burn all of the ash. At least somewhat guarantee that I'm burning all of the ash. Anyway. And then one thing I can also do is... No, not that. Oh, right, I'm not... If I was using Bob's adjustable inserters, you could actually have an inserter placed that can pull out and feed back in. But I'm not using that mod, and it's fully compatible, by the way. Instead, I can hop, and I can do that. And that will make sure that all of the ash that is being produced in these can end up being voided as well. Here. I can't have this one. I don't want this to become an issue ever again, which is why I'm taking the time to do this. Alright, and in this way, it will never back up again. Granted, I might be producing more than 15 items per second on the stuff that needs to be voided. Which means I probably need to upgrade to more than one belt. Yeah, that's 6 by itself. This, I guess, is full. Yeah. Figures. Alright, do I have a... I do... Is it electrolyzer? No, it's... What is it? What's that building that is stone to saline? Washer. Do I have any washers on me? Did I not take my car? I took a car. I have a car. Yeah, this is my car. Do I have a Mark? I do! Hello, Mark II washer. Yeah, if I'm going to be voiding stone... One thing I can absolutely do is place down my glorious washer to turn stone into saline. To use up near enough all of it. How much was being produced of stone? 6. Yeah, I can, like, void all. All can be voided. Just in case, though, I will do that. Output priority right. Put down... where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? U. And then put down... How much? 33. Put down a U. A singular U. And that is that. I could hook up the saline to the rest of the network, but just Oh look, already, there's more copper plates. Just doing that, there's already more copper plates coming in. Not through... You? Oh, you're behind a overflow valve. Oh. Right, because a lot of the... I wanted to make sure that I would always have enough copper to go into duralumin production, so I was overflowing it into here. Why are you an output priority? You're not even supposed to be an output priority, you're supposed to be an input priority. Oh boy, that's something I should fix. Yeah, you are supposed to be input priority left, and then no output priority. Now you should be doing an evened output. I wanted to make sure this kept going. Now I'm just watching and making sure that everything is moving. And it absolutely appears so. Now, I am also making a very key assumption. I technically won't need those. I am making an assumption here that the rate of ash being produced by 3 machines is enough for 1 machine to actually fully process. And that is an assumption that may or may not be actually correct. We shall see. Now, I apparently have more than I need on these burners, which is fine. I'm happy. This is now operating a lot more smoothly than it was. I suppose one thing I could also do here is upgrade the machines to Mark IIs and have a smaller footprint. Not going to do so, though. I don't think. Also, why does it seem like I don't have enough impact crushers? Maybe because I don't? Yeah, that's 12. That is 9.6. Yeah, that would explain it. I simply don't have enough impact crushers. So, Pyanodon changed the copper processing chain a little bit after I set up my copper processing chain. So I haven't been back to it to really tweak and fine-tune it yet, not fully anyway. So for now, making these machines 20% faster will solve the immediate problem. It does appear as if I'm getting all of the copper there processed. Am I getting all of the copper here processed? I do believe so. Yes. Yes, all of the copper here is being processed. It's just getting all of this out. 12 items per second. Getting all of this processed. Yes, I'm slowly running out as well, which is why I wanted to move to ground boring. Yeah, he changed it to use half the jaw crushers, but also tweaked several other things in the process. I did set up this before he did the reduction in the jaw crushers. He also just did a flat-out change to jaw crushers that impacted things. So, yeah, Pyanodon did do that change. In part because Pyanodon does watch these streams and watches several streams and saw, for the jaw crushers in particular, that, yeah, it was a little bit extreme how many machines you needed to do a yellow belt of processing. In my case, this is actually 2 yellow belts on the copper. But, yeah. Everything should be fine. You are 3. 3 plus 12 is precisely 15. So, yellow belt is fine there. As long as I have enough here to process 15, which I have more than enough. Yes, there's going to be lots of changes. And then here, with my playthrough, I will also need to note when Pi Alien Life is released, if my current playthrough isn't done yet, I'm still going to be playing my current playthrough, but I will not be adding Pi Alien Life to this because it will add too many things. It's going to require having a fresh start when Alien Life comes out. I'm pretty sure that will just straight up require a fresh start. I'm not going to bother attempting to migrate those changes into an existing save game. That sounds like a horrible idea. And Pyanodon, I think, mentioned it was like 30-ish, 35-ish% through with the Pi Alien Life so far. But it will bring about a lot of changes, some of which are highly requested changes. I think Pyanodon mentioned that Pi Alien Life will bring alternative methods of obtaining acetylene. That's like a really big one. More ways to get acetylene is like huge, because right now the most efficient method of getting acetylene for mining lead and titanium is tholins. The actual regular way of getting acetylene out of the coke uses up more energy value in coke than if you were to convert the coke into power and use the power to power tholin-based acetylene production. I figured that out after actually doing the math and calculating the fuel value of the coke that gets used to produce the acetylene, as well as the power that the buildings use to produce the acetylene versus the power that is used to make the tholins and process the tholins into the other stuff, into the acetylene. You will start your Pi map over once Alien Life comes out? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will. I'm a little bit too far in this playthrough to really just stop midstream. I still think that Alien Life is about probably a 2020 release at this point, before it's actually ready. Several more months to go. Just about the only thing that will get me to really not play this playthrough every day will be the release of other games that I would really like to stream, because these days I've noticed, and this happens every time I start like making content again for either YouTube or just to stream Twitch, I get into this mode where I want to play games, but there's that little part of you that says, you should be streaming this. You should be making videos of this. And it's like, why would you play this if you're not streaming it or you're not making content of this? So I end up not actually playing many video games these days because that little voice in the back of the head is like telling me, you should do this on stream. Why would you waste your time playing this now? Because at some point you're going to be streaming this and you don't want to have just played this game right before then streaming it. So yeah, that's the life of a content creator, by the way. So when things like Pokemon Sword and Shield, maybe Planet Zoo, definitely Kerbal Space Program 2, and the new Animal Crossing New Horizons release, I have every intention of actually streaming those games, because part of me thinks is thinking, that's the only way I'm going to actually be able to make myself even play those games in the first place. Yeah, it's reaching 40%, and it's been in production for how many months now? And it's about 40% done. So, extrapolating that forward, it's likely going to be sometime in spring 2020 before we really see production ready Pylian life. Maybe there'll be like alpha testing about the end of the year. So anyway, what is next? Now that I have absolutely gotten a full throughput again on my copper, noticed and fixed this issue. You are not brought up. You don't need to be brought up. Wait a minute. You're like... This is my other, like, really bad line of the Coke. Why did I even bring this particular line up to feed this? Like, what? Also, something tells me this is a copper problem. What? Ferrite? Ferrite. That shouldn't be a problem. That's iron oxide. You. Nichrome. What's wrong with nichrome? That's not nichrome. Where's my nichrome? Nichrome is nickel plus chromium. Why? That's the iron niobium. No, it must have been further up. Where are you? I hate losing track of where I place all these things. This is... chromium tin alloy. Seriously though, where's my nichrome? Well, if I follow my nickel line... That's not nichrome. Wait, what? Here. Right. Chrome. Just not enough chrome. Chromium. That is the issue here. Partly because these ground borers are not being fully fed. You're not being fully fed with drill heads? L F? Hmm. I suppose I did forget. Okay, here's what we're doing. Where's my... I left my car behind. Wonderful! So I did forget that when I set up my, quote, overflow of the iron plates over here... Oh yeah, drilling fluid 1. I left that stuff just sitting around. Right up here, I set up this to use extra molten iron, but what I forgot to do was put it behind a overflow valve. So this whole time this has been leaching off of my molten iron production. Ah, joy. So now it won't be leaching as much off of the molten iron production. That will allow it to actually start going into what it needs to go into. Granted... What's up? Oh, right. This is not the first time I've seen this problem. How far along does this stone line go? Did I bring it all of the way up the bus? Please tell me I brought this stone line all the way up the bus to make this really, really simple. I have. Yes. Good. This is now trivial. Okay, where's that? Where's that car? Where's that car of mine? So you know what we just did with the, stuff here? Wait, where'd the stone is all the way over here. So what I just did out at the copper is exactly what I'm going to do again here with saline water. This time, however, okay. I might actually attach the saline to my actual saline. Because I am technically voiding extra saline. Do I have enough voiding for it to be of use? Probably. Now I can also speed. More speed. Yeah, that's fine. That works. 800 kilowatts, that's whatever. Yep. Just as long as we get this stone moving so that the iron can keep moving. Oh boy. Yep, that was needed. That was necessary. To keep on going. And, you know, it's strange, because I know that several days ago, or several streams ago, I saw this, that this was an issue. I thought I had fixed it, but apparently I didn't. In fact, you know what I probably did? If I go to over here, did I even upgrade this to Mark II? No, I didn't. I just straight up didn't do anything here with it. That is insane. Oh, and then I have it as a output priority. Oh, joy. Oh, bliss. That output priority doesn't really matter, by the way. Also, so, asphalt. You are needed for heat exchangers and ball mill Mark IVs. There are two ways of getting asphalt. One is through gravel and bitumen, and the other one is through ash, gravel, and tar. I should probably have this somewhere set up and, like, filling a warehouse or something. Filling a logistic warehouse or something. Just to have available for when I eventually do maybe want to use heat exchangers for something. You know, such as ingredients in Mark III equipment. Yeah, that would be handy. And I could actually make heat exchangers now because I have all of this stuff. Now, bitumen is... Hello? Soot. That would be a bit of gold. So soot can be used to make a lot of things in really small amounts. The most valuable of which being silver and gold. Gold in particular. Saves a chain, but it's like really minuscule amounts of stuff there that you end up getting out of this. But anyway, next on the agenda... Do I have any more coffee? I don't have any more coffee. I'm sad. That's so sad. At least I have ice water. Still on the lamps. The lamps. At least they're slowly bringing lamps up. You are filling / full. Just filling your internal buffers. That's fine. Similarly here, you're filling. You just take a while because your stack size is 1,000 on soil. And I have so many. Over here. It is now time to actually process the guar and think about doing the guar gum. So the guar gum first requires seeds. I forget, is it the solid separator that does the seeds? Yes, it is. Let's get this set up. Now, in order to process the necessary amounts of guar that I need... Let's see, I have 24 with speed modules. Theoretically, that is 25.6. None of this, by the way, uses productivity modules, sadly. Very sadly, you know, the ones that would actually matter here. So to process the greater than 25, yeah, that means I need 6 solid separators. And yes, this is a lot of seeds out, as well as organic matter. So note, a single line of this, single section, is able to process an entire square. Like, an entire square of guar can be processed in a single line of this, and I'm pretty sure that if I do bot-based stuff here, I can do... like 5? Yeah. Also, landfill, please. So, lots. Actually, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. No, no. 1 extra tile, please. do I need that one extra tile? I don't think so, but anyway, I've done it anyway. I have done it anyway. Also, I may want to set up automation of the warehouses so that I can do stuff like put some storage chests near junctions and stuff so that my construction bots have places to leave stuff behind. So as I mentioned, I only really need one setup here, but 5 per second in, I think I can get that out of a standard stack inserter moving stacks of 5. That much I'm not concerned about. What I'm concerned about is the outputs. So in order to be consistent, I will be using filters going into 2 separate things. So one machine is actually 25 per second on the seeds. That is a red belt throughput. Fortunately, I have the red loaders here to handle that properly. So I will grab a filter for guar seed. And of course a filter for organic matter. And this is what I'm going to copy and paste for everything. For the everything. And is why I needed at least a gap of 3. I could have done it with exactly a gap of 3, but we'll go with 4. We'll go with the 4, sure. Of course, these are not all going to be fully operational at all times. And I absolutely need the outputs like this. So, what's going to use the organic matter? Because I need to actually... Because I absolutely 100% will always need the organic matter to always leave in order for it to keep operating. I am going to need those to be active provider chests. They absolutely 100% need to be active provider chests. I do hope I'm doing the correct chest on all of these. So, what do active provider chests do? They will send all of their outputs to whatever requester chests are requesting what is filled in them, and then from there send it into storage chests until those all storage or buffer chests are full. So always, 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 always be careful when using active provider chests. Always make sure that you have the ability to consume everything that's being output by those active provider chests. So, speaking of which, I guess I'll do this right here. I need those. All of those. All of those high pressure furnace Mark IIs. So, what am I going to do with organic matter? Well, organic matter is really used only in one thing. one thing and one thing only, really. Well, it's used in carbon dioxide. It's also used in biofilm. Not to put anything, say anything bad about biofilm, it is used for biofilm as well. It can also be used for aromatics if you want to use refined syngas. If you want to use Nextlit, it can make methanol. It's used in fertilizer as well, so there's that too. Fertilizer through blood. Isn't this an easier recipe? I think I like this recipe, actually. Now that I'm looking at it, it makes use of your extra blood, and it makes use of your bones, whereas the other recipe makes use of other things. Through collagen, right? And it gets used in bakelite here for organic matter. Thing is, organic matter can be made as needed. Here, it just happens to be a byproduct, so I have to deal with the byproduct now. And this is how I'm going to deal with it as a byproduct. It is going to go directly into carbon dioxide gas. And then it'll get hooked up to the normal CO2 line that is being used for many things, as well as overflow valved and vented. So that will be a thing. Oh, please. No! Can't fit one more. Oh, that's so sad. But I can fit 8. So that is a lovely, lovely thing. Yeah. I think that's enough. So 30, right? Was the output? No. Yeah. Like less than 30, right? Currently? Yeah, that's 4. That's 4 of these. So, yeah. It really doesn't take a lot of these machines. I do, however, have to do the requesters on one side and the provider on the other. Or the... Actually, no, it's just requesters for you. So, do that. In fact, request more. Request all of the things. Okay, and then... do that. Then I need to hook this up. Like so. And have a vent line. Vent lines! After an overflow valve. Overflow! I'll do this here. Ooh, gas vents. Need more. Need many. Many, 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 many more. I said many more. Vent it all! Vent the planet! Vent the CO2 to the planet! Also, you are requesting that. Yes, yes. I didn't even power this yet, did I? Nope. Nope. Nor did I actually do the requester chests. Come, my minions, give me guar. Guar. All the guar. The glorious, beautiful guar. Power all the things. And that, as they say, is that. Of course, this will be a pretty massive pull on the number of robots being in use. Fortunately, I've got lots of robots. The only real question is, do I have the power? Do I have the power to do all this processing? Pretty sure I do. Ah, right. And then, speaking of power, the venting power. Yeah. Time to vent all the stuff. So everything that is being processed here into guar seeds, all of the organic matter is just straight up leaving. We are limited, of course, by the lamps. The lamps reaching all the way over here. I'm thinking that there are other things that are using lamps causing issues. I'm just bottlenecked on my lamp production compared to consumption. At the moment, as I stretch, been over 2 hours in the stream, about 50 minutes left. Got the pretty kitty next to me, trying to sleep. Yeah, you're trying to sleep, but you're gonna be bothering me soon, right? Right? Because you like bothering me at lunchtime for more food? As long as he only gets his lunchtime food if he's actually eaten his breakfast time food. That's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Oh, you've filled that, which means, yeah, that's what that means. So now that the copper chests are full, that means all of the lubricant that was otherwise going into the copper production is now going into all of the chrome production. Note that this is because I am using a mod that I have authored that changes the fluid requirement from using drilling fluid to lubricant for all of the ground boring recipes. This is what it was before the most recent updates to Pyanodon's mods. I only am doing this as a means of being able to do ground boring of chromium while I transition into making and using drilling fluid. So once I have production of drilling fluid 1 and 2, at minimum, I will disable my mod and start using that. So far, what would I say the best fuel chain for combustion turbine power is? Okay. There are lots of methods. I am currently focused on self-perpetuating power through what's essentially electrolysis of water. So using the hydrogen and then using the oxygen into syngas here is what this is doing. So this is using hydrogen as well as syngas, using the oxygen for more syngas out of coke. It's taking mushrooms to make coal to make coke plus coal gas, using that coal gas plus oxygen plus water to make syngas, and is processing all of that into fuel mixture that gets combusted in a 2x2 grid to get a little, it's like a little over 150 megawatts when using the Mark II combustion turbines. This is the one this is a process I think that has a lot of utility to it, although it is not objectively the best. Pyanodon tends to, well, it wants more people to look at the fuel oil combustion through crude oil. So crude to fuel oil and combusting that. You can see I'm not doing that anymore because it's not exactly all that renewable to do this process. Fuel oil also, if you're going through the effort of making fuel oil, at 1.5 megajoules of fuel value for fuel oil, it is actually less efficient to do this process and more efficient to use oil burners. These guys. It's actually better to use these guys to burn fuel oil. However, here's the other thing. Technically speaking, it's still better to use crude oil over fuel oil because you only gain 100 kilowatts per unit in converting crude to fuel oil. Now that's 100 kilowatts per unit, though, so it might still be a gain here. I'm just trying to consider the power used to convert the crude to fuel oil. You go from 700 kilowatts, you use 2 units of crude to make 1 unit of fuel oil. So if it was a 1-to-1, that would go 700 to 1.4. Instead it goes to 1.5. Is that extra 100 kilowatts really worth it on the fuel value when burning in oil burners? Maybe. But still, it's better to do the oil burning in the oil burners than to use your fuel oil to make power out of fuel oil. Even though it does give a lot of power for the fuel oil. If you have enough oil burners to burn all of that fuel oil, it's still more efficient to do it that way. So yeah, that's the thing. And I'm really questioning about just the merits of doing combustion of non-renewable resources anyway. But there are methods of getting lots of power, lots of different ways. If you look on the Pyanodon's forums, there's been talk of one guy's set up like a freaking 1.5 gigawatt power production thing out of somewhat renewable stuff. In fact, all renewable stuff, I would imagine. It's like, huh. So, crude, I've pointed out, crude oil, if I actually click the right thing, crude oil can be made renewably from various methods, including this, aromatics and syngas. So, you can get crude from renewables. Like, straight up from renewables. Syngas can get gotten various ways. You can get it the normal way out of the coal gas and get the coal gas from DDCs through coal based off of mushrooms. There's that whole process. And then, yeah, I've already pointed out aromatic. I'm already doing aromatics through mushrooms and Relesia, which is just as easy, but there might be some other syngas methods here. I mean, even this coal dust to syngas recipe, that's useful because if you're processing your mushroom-based coal into coke through the most efficient method of converting coal to coke through the quenching tower recipes, quenching towers and basic oxygen furnace recipes, that ends up giving you a lot of coal dust that you can use to make the syngas for this process. And you can use the syngas plus the aromatics that you can also make through the power of mushrooms and Relesia. Yes, and Relesia to make crude that you can then also burn or do whatever you want with. The thing about crude, though, is everything that crude makes, and some of the things that are made here, all these distillate stuff, the things that these make, can all be gotten different ways that don't involve crude. So, like, even kerosene, I think, has straight from heavy oil, which you can get through tar. Yeah, in an olefin plant. Kerosene straight from heavy oil, which you can get heavy oil straight from tar. Right here. And I'm actually doing this, and you get coke out of it. And you can convert coke to tar. So, like, literally everything that the crude oil is used for, that it's ultimately used for, can be obtained in alternate ways, so you don't actually technically need crude at all, even though there are ways of getting crude, so, lots of different complexities and alternative methods of doing things in Pyanodon's mods. So, I've got seeds. Now it's time to turn those seeds into guar gum, and that involves pulp mills. How many pulp mills minimum do I need here? 4. 4 pulp mills, so that is a lot in a square. Yeah, up to 8, actually. Well, technically I can fit a knight there, but anyway. Hey kitty, you're repositioning or leaving? You are repositioning. Good. And then again, no productivity allowed. So sad. So very, 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 very sad. 30 per second. That is an entire red belt throughput from guar seeds. Now, I just want to point out, this is a lot of robots constantly operating. Just have to make that perfectly clear. Like, this is a lot of robots constantly operating to make very, very little guar gum. $900, yeah, no, 2,000, please. Actually, I am going to spread this out over twice as many as I need. And there we go. It is now... I officially have guar gum. That should make Pyanodon happy. Because, hey, because he's been, like, trying to push me to make guar for a while. And, hey, here. It's done. Guar gum. It exists. Please be happy now. I might want to do, like, this. Just a line of charging stations. Because I think it's going to be required. And same like here, just a line of charging stations in between here. Because holy crap, that's a lot of robots. How is the power looking? Good question. How is this power looking? It's okay. I have up to about 850 megawatts. That will be when production, like, plateaus on the network. This bar is very misleading because it does not take into account the efficiency of the combustion turbine. While I'm using combustion turbine 2s, mostly, I apparently have 7 Mark 1s. I know exactly where at least 5 of those are. Maybe all 7, but I need to transition away from those into the Mark 2s because the Mark 2s are far more efficient, but it's not taking into account the temperature of the combustion mixture and that effect on the output in terms of the total production. So, for the most part, a lot of what I am using is only 52% efficient, or like 520 degrees C when the maximum power output is at 1000 C. And it's a pure percentage of it. So instead of 56.1 output megawatts, it's for a 520C combustion mixture you're only seeing 52% of this. But that is not taken into account here. It thinks that you can get the full 56.1 for however many combustion turbine Mark IIs you've got. So anyway, at about 850-ish megawatts, that's when things will break again. I have to add more power generation. For now, though, this is fine. Right, I need to actually add that. They are moving a lot better. I just saw that hit 800. I saw that, game. Game? I saw you say 800 there for a split second. For a split second, I saw an 800 there. Uh-oh. Might need that sooner. Might need more power sooner than I thought. So I have guar gum. I have the glorious stuff that is the copper ore. What else do I need for this? Sand. I have sand. I have soil, actually, not sand. So I need to then set up a thing that does soil to sand. So I set all this up for soil for a reason. It didn't really click in my mind, really, because this needs sand. Yeah, not soil. So whatever. You use soil for sand, so I will need another square. Must have more squares. Give me this blueprint. Place things down for me. Get the... Yeah, just have to make sure that the wires behave. Must have the wires behave. That's the biggest part of this, is I just need the wires to behave. Because sadly you only get 5 wires to work with on these big electric poles. And when you have junctions like this, it can be bad. Really bad. And it requires manual rewiring, which I really don't like doing. I really don't like having to do manual rewiring. That's good. That works. Only that can do that more often. Washer Mark IIs, please. So you may be wondering, hey, if you need soil, why don't you use sand? Or if you need sand, why don't you use sand extractors? Because while sand extractors are really, really nice, they're space efficient, they give you lots of sand, I am not lacking for space, 1. And 2, at this very point in time, I want to at least attempt to be somewhat conservative on my expenditure of iron. That is the main thing. I want to at least attempt to be somewhat slightly conservative on my expenditure of iron. Autosave 173 hours in this save. Let's break some rocks. Break some more rocks. Break some more rocks. Hey, my dudes are actually going to do a thing. Oh, are we done? Oh, we're done! Mostly. I have like 100 construction bots doing something. They might all actually be stuck. Those construction bots might actually be stuck. Like these guys are stuck. Trying to do something. I don't really know what they're trying to do. They're trying to move coal or something or other. I don't really know, nor do I particularly care. So all of my current queued aluminium tile has been placed, for the exception of the little area here that's not in network or something. So, yep, lots of alley tile in my constructible zones. I could extend the alley up to here. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. It is a bit of a flight for the construction robots to get from way down here, where I have the aluminium plate production. It's all the way here. So they have to go to this warehouse and then fly all the way up. So halfway down the bus-ish, all the way up to here to place those tiles. I think I'm just gonna leave it as is. Call it a day on that. Alright, have you brought me the things yet? Yes, you have. Beautiful things. Now, let's see about sand. Oh, right, I will also have to deal with tailings from this. So, 15 per second per washer to get 5 sand. I have over 100 per second of sand. Like, 172. So, I'm not too worried about needing the sand. Let's just put, like, things. Now, while again, it is possible. Oh, it's not possible. Okay, sure, fine. I will live with this. Water, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep, that is 1. But how do I actually want? Do I want to? I know. I know exactly what I want to do. We're doing the same setup as these guys. That means I then just have to hook up the tailings to a dump site of some description. 200 per second, that is... Yeah, I think that works. 60 each. 60 per second each on the voiding, so that absolutely should work. And that's 5, 10, 15, 20 on the sand. I think that will be okay for now. I am apparently not loaded up. I am apparently not loaded up. Interesting. I am not loaded up. Uh, 5 per second, right? Each. Oof. Does a stack inserter at 5 equal 5 per second? should... It should be good enough. There we go. Just have to wait for the loaders. Oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine. This stack inserter is well worth it. I do find it odd I don't have those compact loaders. Surely I have the small parts. Surely I would have the small parts, right? Like, that seems like a thing I would have, right? Maybe? Where... Yeah, why? Why? I'm... Oh. Yeah, so copper. Why are you not bringing me the copper from here? And the other thing to look at is... Alright, I was assuming that this would be backed up. Or I was, shall we say, hoping that this would be backed up. Going to the south. But it's not. In fact, it's filling a chest at the end. Oh, that would explain a lot, actually. Mythical Allet. It will eventually back up. Maybe. Also, it's not two full... completely full belts at this point in time. I would imagine because I am using it for the Duralumin. Because I'm getting some of it used for Duralumin. Shouldn't be... yeah. Oh. Hello. Borax. Interesting. It's limited by... borax. Oh, and there's contamination there that's preventing this one from actually getting any borax. Alright. That's good to know. Good to note, kitty. Yeah, good to note as I stretch again. Stretch. Hmm. Good. How's the iron? The iron. Oh, the irony. Yes, two full belts. Good. That's what I am desperate to see. And this starting to ever so slowly back up. That's That's what is needed to be seen here. And this moving. Good. Next. So I got the guar gum set up. I got the sand, technically, set up. I've got my copper ore set up. It is now officially that time to set up drilling fluid 1. To at least have some drilling fluid 1. Now, what thingy am I going to set this up in? Probably here. This one. So, drilling fluid 1 in how many mixers? 6. In 6 mixers for drilling fluid of the first. Drilling fluid the first. 6 mixers, 1500 items per second. Cannot use these guys. Actually, this reminds me. So, I just thought of something, by the way, that I wanted to attempt to test out. So let's see. That's 5, 6.5. Ooh, can a stack inserter hit 6.5? Are you able to hit 6.5 per second? I hope so. I hope so. I can definitely hit 5 just fine, so I'm going to make an assumption that that is just fine for it being able to operate. Now this is greater than the amount of water for just a single provider of water. So I will split it. Split it, and then get power, and say hello to the very first drilling fluid 1 made thus far in the game. That is our first drilling fluid. I am absolutely going to grab, or shall we say request, a tank or 2, or 10 in this case, which I should have. I should have all of these tanks, and they should be on their way. I can walk a little bit closer so that they can bring them to me. And yeah, so that's drilling fluid enough to feed, more than enough to feed a lead line, let alone the acetylene needed to feed a lead line, but it's another matter entirely. But it's also enough drilling fluid to feed iron as well, which is why I'm really tempted. It's like, do I do iron, or do I do more copper, or do I do the lead directly, get to the like do the ethylene glycol next? Do I do excuse me, do I do any of that? Do I like get squares of Zapier processing in and start doing that next. So lots of stuff to work on this progression path towards ground boring of the various material types that make it, that's a nice logical progression, which again is stuff that I was pointing out to Pyanodon. Oh, we've got the tanks. That was a change that I had suggested was to make copper use lubricant by default. So when Pyanodon did the changeover to use drilling fluid instead of lubricant for all of the ground boring recipes, because it was a bit too easy to get the lubricant, I will agree. Yes, it's too easy to do the lubricant and have everything based off of lubricant. My suggestion was to make copper back into lubricant instead of having drilling fluid 1 for the copper, because there's a nice progression between lubricant to fluid 1 to fluid 2 to fluid 3 if copper uses lubricant. It's not an only if, but it is an if copper uses lubricant. I think that'll do. Yeah, that works. That works. Store all the drilling fluid. All of it should be stored. Like so. These hold 100k each, so that'll be 400k units of drilling fluid 1 stored up. So yeah, I've talked about this chain, this nice logical progression path previously, but it always helps to mention things several times. So the way that this ends up working is you start with coal gas, because coal gas is needed for the copper mining. So coal gas you can get out of any means, really, but I've chosen here, you've got this nice mushrooms into coal, into destructive distillation column, making coal gas, which gives you coke that you can also make into a bit more coal gas. This also happens to give you tar that could also be converted into more coal gas. I'm making heavy oil for some heavy oil-based tar as well as more coke that ends up getting used, but considering my current method of getting lubricant, this might not be valuable anymore to do. Anyway, so that's coal gas. Then you've got this process here, the mushrooms and relesia into aromatics, and then aromatics into lubricant and a bit of sulfur. That coal gas plus the lubricant into copper. The copper plus the guar gum plus sand into drilling fluid 1. And then drilling fluid 1 is used for iron, of course, as well as in the process of getting ethylene glycol. So ethylene glycol, which is a drilling fluid 2 and 3 component, requires, ultimately, silver plates. Silver comes from lead processing. So you've got drilling fluid 1 now needed for lead processing. Originally that was drilling fluid 2, and I said, maybe lead and titanium, because they both use acetylene, and acetylene is relatively expensive, should instead of 2 use 1, and then you have progression where you can go make some drilling fluid 2 to make the lead or the silver to make the fluid 2, and by doing that you now have fluid 1 being involved in the use of making fluid 2 and 3. And of course, drilling fluid 3 directly requires chromium, which requires drilling fluid 2 to make. So drilling fluid 3 can be made through making fluid 2 and 1 and doing ground boring for the various items that you need for these things. So, and then ultimately it all goes back to the copper, which is lubricant, to do the ground boring as well, because the fluid 1 is going to need lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of copper to continue going, and that's going to mean lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of lubricant to keep going. Previously, with the copper needing the drilling fluid 1, it was possible to make more copper ore by ground boring than the amount of drilling fluid needed to drill the copper, but you only really had an excess of 2.5 units per second of copper for every entire setup of making drilling fluid 1. So it wasn't quite as that efficient. It's like huge space-wise. So especially compared to drilling fluid 2 or 3, because like when you had drilling fluid 2, when 2 was used for lead and titanium, it would end up being a lot smaller footprint, because 2 could self-sustain itself off of the lead boring for the silver a lot more efficiently than the fluid 1 would be able to with the copper ore requirements. So now that it's been changed so that copper is using lubricant and then lead and titanium using fluid 1, there's this nice, relatively even progression between all of the different types of drilling fluids, and they're all using about like relatively the same overall footprint for all of them. In fact, fluid 2 and fluid 3 actually use half as much guar gum as fluid 1. That being said, that's okay, because even fluid 1 is relatively small well, I say relatively small footprint, but it's not like a night and day difference between them. It's like, okay, well, one of these setups of the guar processing can feed either one setup of fluid 1, or it can feed a setup of 2 and 3 in relatively equal amounts. That's fine, especially when 2 and 3 require so many other things as well on top of that. But anyway, that's me continuing to just sit and talk about the whole balance of these things. Just remember that you don't even have to think about any of this if you just set your ore density settings up to like 2 jillion. That's not even a unit of measure, but anyway, you can set it up into the tens and hundreds of billions, thousands of trillions, quadrillions, and not even ever have to worry about doing this at all. Like, if you're on a standard map, you can completely avoid all of this by setting your ore density settings to whatever you want at, like, effectively infinite levels. This is just me having a bit of fun, figuring out how to do things in, like, quote, true infinite processes. on a map of standard settings using resource spawner overhaul. And this is because I am exceedingly lazy and don't want to keep moving my mining setups all the time. And yeah, this is going to take a lot of space. Like, this is not particularly a small footprint just to get copper. This is 6 squares here of stuff to get into just one yellow belt equivalent of copper. And then I'm using half of that to make enough drilling fluid 1 to do like a single yellow belt of iron, or it's less than this for a lead line. So it's like, oh, what happened? Like, how big of a space am I going to need if I actually wanted, say, a red belt of iron, so 2 yellows? Well, it would be double this, so it would be, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you reuse some of this, but for all intents and purposes, let's say that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's say we have 14, and then anyone I need 2 of, so 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, I'd say 20. 20 squares. 20 of these squares is what would be needed to do 2 yellow belts of iron. Or an iron and a lead. So when you really start thinking grand scheme of things, this is big. I've done it in an organized, or at least semi-organized way, but it's still a lot of space. And it is a lot of power, and I have to set up more power for it. More perpetual power, so even more space. And I think that's reasonable for setting up stuff that I can just place and never have to worry about touching again. And that's not even taking into account the coal gas. The footprint of the coal gas. So it's 20 plus whatever for coal gas. But anyway, we have reached the end of the stream today, folks. What got done today? What got done today? Well, clearly, I got through the guar stuff today. I have processed guar. I started producing it. I set up a bunch of clay production, so I have all of the clay on the planet now. I've got all of the soil on my network on the planet now, plus sand from soil. I've got more CO2 than I could ever imagine out of processing my guar into guar gum, and also have finally begun actually making drilling fluid 1. Absolutely wonderful. Finally, drilling fluid 1 exists. I am happy that it exists. Next time, I'm undecided as to whether or not I want to double this to get actually processing of copper. Like, I do need a lot more copper. I think that is our biggest bottleneck right now, is the amount of copper plates going into the production of lamps to feed all of this, because we also need lamps. On top of everything else, the lamps are required, so getting more sufficient amounts of copper plates available is definitely going to be on the agenda. So if I do another several, like it's going to be a lot of copy pasting from here on out. So I think more copper, lead now, it would be ideal. More coal gas, more like doing the lead into silver, more acetylene to feed that, and then working on the ethylene glycol, which is really the only other thing that I am not producing right now for the uh, drilling fluid too. So, again, thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you are watching the VOD on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you are so inclined, head on over to twitch.tv/OtakuShowboat to leave a follow and to turn on notifications to be reminded when I go live Sundays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Also, don't forget to answer the question of the day, which is, what are you currently playing? If you are playing Factorio, what mod sets are you currently using? Are you using any overhaul mods, like Crastorio, Space Exploration, or Space Block, as I like to call it? Or are you using AAI? Or are you using Angels, or Bobs alone? Or Pyanodons? Are you planning on doing something as crazy as C-Block or Pi Block? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope to see you all on the next one.